Okay, the first featured reader is Bekkah Olson. Bekkah Olson is a landmark at Sarah Lawrence College. You could spot her wearing her beanie around campus without difficulty. She is a marvelous ringleader of the SLC Spoken Word Collective. She organized a fantastic spoken word section that was held last night. Please tell her if you liked it. Snap, tell her. Well, she's the author of the poetry chapbooks for the Miles and A City Suspended Above Water. Please welcome esteemed Bekkah Olson.
Thank you. I'm going to read one poem from For the Miles, which looks like this and is available outside. The poem is called The Dig House at Gordion. And I want to give a big thanks to James Hoke, who couldn't be here today, but who diligently supported me as I worked on many, many drafts of it over the course of last semester. So Gordion, if you don't know, is an ancient capital in the region of Turkey called Western Anatolia, and for thousands of years was occupied by groups that kept, coming and violently kicking each other out. And it is now an archaeological site. And the dig house is where the archaeologists live. The dig house at Gordion. 1. Instead, I think of the war between women and their knees, malformed from a life of leaning over stones and grinding grain. Morning comes early, emerging from flower-white mists into a capital that lost its hearing after the centuries turned their backs, marched their horses backwards. Where an eagle and an ox cart rode through what is now not even a town, but a series of dust roads I pass on, one is left to wonder how a man becomes legend by pulling a knot of cornel bark from its pin and unraveling its ends. Maybe he cuts straight through it. 2. Funny how she reads the map like a newspaper, when all I see are green lines and the Aegean Sea spreading out like an ink stain. The old city walls breathe easily at low elevation. Further in, stones bow in careful homage to Midas. His coffin lives a mile from here, deep inside a citadel mound, the wood around him damp. This morning, my throat was dry as the road where my brother went running yesterday morning, with stones in his pockets to throw at hyenas that might chase him, thinking he's prey, unaccustomed to anything rising so early. 3. Last night, the whole house sat on the porch, playing Brian's backpacking guitar. As its curved body, disrupted by Nirvana, the Beatles, slid down my knee, a car with headlights like twin suns slipped past. Section 4 is written in a form called Caesura, which was either invented or popularized by Greg Williamson in his book Double Exposures. And the way that form works is you can read it 3 ways. You can read all the even numbered lines together, and that's one poem, and you can read all the odd numbered lines together, and that's one poem, or you can just read the whole thing. So I'm going to read it 3 ways. At night, the stars sink low, and the call to prayer roars heavy through men, like the sound of yesterday's market, or last night's dream where there were apples on the side of the road leading to Gordion. Wrapped in orange and red cloth, my brother's shore blue eyes tilted towards them, and a tractor drove the wrong way down the shoulder. The Leaves, a recording of man, of water running through my hands, which smell like basil, either from gaggles of women selling cherries, and who, after crossing the highway freely, barefoot, heads covered, kissed my mother and I on our cheeks, then turned their faces away as the sun whispered from the shade or from somewhere else. In my dream, all of us hear it. At night, the stars sink low, and the call to prayer roars heavy through the leaves. A recording of man, of men, like the sound of water running through my hands, which smell like basil, either from yesterday's market or last night's dream, where there were gaggles of women selling cherries and apples on the side of the road leading to Gordion, who, after crossing the highway freely, barefoot, heads covered, wrapped in orange and red cloth, kissed my mother and I on our cheeks, then turned their faces away as my brother's shore blue eyes tilted towards them, and the sun whispered from the shade, or from somewhere else. A tractor drove the wrong way down the shoulder. In my dream, all of us hear it. 5. The sky has rained in Gordion, and the air, cow and pottery. 6. If she excavated the swamp ground in my body, she'd find about a girl 8 days a week, a small red notebook with black smudged binding, and a jar of roasted peanut butter with a spoon dug into it. But nothing about history. My fingertips are burnt. Clutched in the palm of my hand is the soil of Hittite gods. Somewhere between my nose and my eyes lies the smell of whole juniper trunks, expanding and contracting, holding Midas stable. 7. In 1950, it was Rodney Young, jackhammering an entrance through stone, letting in moisture and tourists. 22 centuries ago, it was the Romans, holding shields of wood and leather over their heads, anchoring the entrance to Gordion with spears. They rebuilt every structure to point north. This is not where Alexander sent back his navy, nor where lightning cut down the sky in a jagged break. She won't find that here, but she'd find blueprints of junior high, plans to take a bullet train straight to Chicago. 8. If I have anything to say now, it's that the wheelbarrows on the other side of this barred window are upturned and many and so old, I believe even the wooden handles could rust. 9. In a room with 3 foam mattresses, lofted above a stone floor, my mother sits across from me. Yellow towels hang on strings over each window. I don't tell her I'm cold. Instead, I talk about the seasons, from 50 to 73, and one each summer since 88. Here, crouching on my knees, an archaeology of nerves. It must be morning on the East Coast by now. I imagine you are sleeping, and a new God has yet to roll the sun heavy over you. Here there is water to boil, and coffee to drink with shovels full of sugar. By midday, the sun will have heated the showers. Then we'll be leaving. My brother drinks whiskey and Coke on the porch. I guard his suitcase. 10. I've never understood summer or distance, how cavernous the brightness. 11. In the kitchen, someone is singing in Turkish. Bu yalançı bahar bir gün bitecek. This fake spring will end someday. My mother. I hope she's proud to see me standing, staring at the citadel mound, waiting for the sun to heat water for a shower. Minutes pass as if through a desert on camelback. She doesn't speak of snow, or last year's horde of rain, or blackbirds swooping over the fence next to which we parked our car. Stops folding blankets. From the corner of the room, I watch as she turns, faces north, and only says, "Those headlights were the brightest yellow on top of the faded horizon, and you missed them as they passed." Thank you.